Hey everybody, welcome to 60 Seconds with Sandy. So for those who don't know me, my name is Sandy O'Shea, and tonight I have with me for my guest, my darling husband.
Hey.
This is Barry.
Hey.
For those who don't know what I do, I am a sex and hormone specialist. So I help people who are dealing with unbalanced hormones, and especially people who have a less than satisfactory sex life. So tonight we're going to talk about BDSM and the kink lifestyle. So I asked Barry to join us just because he's really kind of gotten into, and he'll tell you more about it, but he's rather interested in the psychology of it and knows a number of people who are in the lifestyle. Lots. It's actually become a much more popular thing to do than, say, even 5-10 years ago. So do you think that 50 Shades of Grey had anything to do with that?
Yeah, 50. I'm not a huge fan of 50 Shades of Grey. It's not really my personal idea of an ideal dom submissive relationship. But what I will say about 50 Shades was that it brought kink and BDSM into mainstream culture, and made it a little maybe more socially acceptable to explore it. And it's really interesting. I think a lot of people finally discovered that. I think there's probably a lot of couples out there maybe where one partner was interested in it. And I think what it did do was open up a lot of dialogue. So in that respect, I think it had its place, for sure. But it's really the first time that I think we really saw that introduced into society on such a wide scale. So I think it certainly sparked that interest in people.
Yeah, and that's good because, like I always, for my followers, that I tend to harp a lot on open communication, and it's like, talk to each other. And so I think it's really important, and it's given people an opportunity to talk about something different, and to explore things, and maybe take the, oh dear God, and to explore something different, and if one partner has a little experience in it, do you think that's better if one person has a little more experience? Just
doesn't hurt. I think again the biggest thing, like you mentioned, is communication. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be that one partner necessarily has to have that kind of background, but I think if they're both willing to explore it responsibly, then I mean, if somebody has more experience, all the better. If it's been positive experience, I know there's a lot of people out there who've not had good experiences, but they've also had partners who have not been very well versed in what it's all about. There's a lot of misconceptions out there.
Okay, so say for instance, there's a couple and they want to kind of explore a more adventurous lifestyle. What are some of the things that they can start doing? Like what would you advise someone to do in order to kind of slowly kind of get their feet wet?
Well, I think first of all, they have to make sure that they're on the same page is what it is they're looking for.
Absolutely.
I think they need to sort of define what their relationship is going to be. Dante. I think that they need to define what the relationship is going to be. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it does need to be a conversation. What is it? It's usually pretty readily identifiable who is a submissive, who is a dominant in the relationship. A lot of people are switches, which can add obviously a different dimension as well. But
for sure,
it needs to be a lot of talk beforehand. I encourage people not to rush into it. Really take their time. I think it was sort of like with 50 Shades. I think a lot of people just sort of wanted to jump into it with both feet. And you really can't do that safely. So there needs to be some talk about what is it you want from this relationship. As a dominant, what are you looking for? As a submissive, what are your needs? And people really need to educate themselves on what is a healthy dominant submissive relationship. So before getting into any of the spanking and the paddling, the flogging, and anything else, you've got to really know what your needs are, know what your limits are, have some discussions, play it safe, start off slow. A lot of people just start off with some spanking and blindfolds and, you know, the usual, kind of the more innocuous part of it. And ease into it, define what your limits are, and go from there.
So what about pushing limits? Like, I'm a huge fan of, you know, we all get into our little comfort zones, whether it's in our careers or relationships or lifestyle, whatever. You know, what you like for breakfast. Like, so
there's a very kinky breakfast out there.
There are, you know, you got to watch those breakfasts.
Like chocolate kinkios are my personal favorite. They're shaped like little floggers and like crops and stuff, little handcuffs. Yeah, they're very creative.
And I can't even remember where I was going with this.
What were we talking about anyway? Oh, pushing limits.
Pushing limits. Yes. Right, that's it. So how would you suggest that people start to slow, like, yes, absolutely. I believe that when you start getting into BDSM, which is only one aspect of kink, correct? Then it's a good thing to kind of get comfortable. How do you know when to push past that limit that you have? Like, other than conversation, or just do you kind of have a little conversation ahead of time and then kind of start getting into it? And if one party is uncomfortable, if one party is uncomfortable with what's going on, then, you know, there has to be like an agreed to
right. You need to. I had that Christian Grey drew up a contract, and he basically said, this is what we're doing to Anastasia, and that's not how it should work. A submissive, it has to be understood that a submissive holds the power in a dominant submissive relationship. I use the word she, but I mean, there's many different types of dynamics. There's male dom, female submissive, there's female male, there's male male, female. So there's all sorts of different variations. So when I say he and she, I'm trying to encompass everything. But the submissive should have equal say on what happens, as far as what they're looking for, what their needs are, what their limits are. It should never be dictated by a dom. It's a dangerous thing, and if your dom is trying to push that on you, then it's not going to be a healthy relationship. You've got to also establish a safe word. From the get-go, right from the beginning. Because if it's something you've never explored, you don't know what your limits are. And it may not necessarily even be a physical limit. It could even be starting off with a light spanking, and in a submissive, it could trigger some past trauma maybe you've had with a partner, with the parent being punished. It could bring back some bad memories. So you have to really ease into it carefully, and you've got to really be in touch with each other, especially as a dom. You have to really be in touch with your submissive, not only from the body language, but just facial cues, what she's experiencing, and you've got to know some of her history as well. You know, you don't want to, if you have someone who is abused, who's maybe tied up as a child, you don't want to get out the ropes right away. You know, you need to have that ease into it and see what the limitations are from there. And then from the minute she says hold off or stop, and right away it stops. And that's why the submissive holds the power in a dom sub relationship. So there's our cat Dante, by the way. He's a cute little guy, but he does like to get up on surfaces. So oh my Lord, I'm struggling today. It's menopause. I'm just blaming everything on menopause these days. But I think that it's really important. I know what it was. It's really important not to have, like, your safe word should never be something like no, don't, stop. Have it something that's easily remembered. Like for me, if I was to have a safe word, it would be, gee, I wonder what it might be. Can you think?
Hmm.
Oh God.
Hint.
Oh God. More.
Hint. Purple. Yeah, it's purple. That would be my safe word because it's pretty obvious that, you know, it's me. Because stop is kind of, and no, I think in that kind of an environment, it's too easy to.
Oh, it depends on the it depends on the context too. I mean, if you're doing something like a forced sex scene where you're saying no, she's saying no. Obviously, she's getting into the role.
Right.
So if you're stopping it, you're killing the mood.
Right.
You have to know exactly what.
Yeah.
You have to communicate that ahead of time before you do a scene, so that you can both fully dedicate yourselves into it safely.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it. Again, a lot of it is just communication and
huge
openness and honesty. Like, I mean, you've got to, never mind communication, it's like you've got to be completely honest with your partner. And you know, and then sometimes, I guess what happens sometimes, because it can happen at any time, is that, you know, you're playing out a scene and you get triggered by something that you have absolutely no idea that you could have been triggered by. And you know, you've talked about things, you have established your safe word, you've done all the right things, but there may be some underlying, you know, buried trauma somewhere that comes out with when you're getting spanked or slapped or
restrained,
whatever. So both parties have to be really cognizant and very much in tune with each other. Right?
Yeah, but conversely to that too, you may also find that you're getting more into a scene than you expected. And so that's when your partner, as your dom, also has to realize what your limitations are, because sometimes as a submissive, you'll have such this heightened sensation when you're playing that you may not necessarily be aware of that you're reaching or pushing your limits.
Right.
And that's where, as a dom, they have to realize, okay, let's just, you know, reel things back a little bit for your safety.
Right. Because ultimately, you know, you want to push limits, you want to have, you know, it can get a little rough sometimes with BDSM, but you never want to inflict actual physical harm on the other person, right?
Yeah, not consensually.
No.
Yeah.
No. So you want to make sure that it's the dom has to be careful to know, and it's like you have to understand the physicality of things and to understand the kind of the, you know, if you've got a big guy and a small woman and he's the dom, he could easily hurt her without intentionally hurting her. Like, he's got to understand his limits of what he's doing and understand how that's going to actually impact her.
Yeah, and also, as a dominant, there's nothing wrong during the course of play to ask your partner, ask your submissive, are you okay?
Yeah.
Or how are you? Are you comfortable? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
It's not about exerting your power and your force over this person and you're going to do whatever I want. And it doesn't work like that. No, this psychology and mental well-being is so important.
Yeah. Because I know that you've really gotten into the psychology of you know, kind of kink and and the reasons why people do it. And so what are kind of some of the common
I think that one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, are that submissives are weak.
Yeah.
And submissives are not weak people. There's many reasons why someone as a submissive will enter into a relationship. They may have experienced bad trauma or relationships with authority figures in the past where they want to feel they can be safe with someone, have sort of a safe place to explore. If it's like a daddy little girl situation, you may have someone who has had, I've had a few friends like this who have had traumatic childhood experiences, and they'll meet a partner who is very caring and nurturing. And I've had a couple little girls say to me, I feel like it's a do-over now. I'm in a safe place with a father figure in my life now, where this is sort of what I needed all along. And it's sort of a healthy way of not erasing those. You never erase those memories, or you never get over it.
Yeah.
But it can be a healthy way of moving past it and maybe trying to reconcile with some of that they've been through.
Right.
So, you know, as a dominant, again, you're not there to exert your authority over somebody.
Right.
in an overly aggressive way. You're there to nurture, to support, to help someone grow,
Yeah.
and help them explore, maybe push limits they didn't know they had, or
Yeah.
help them discover new things.
Yeah.
But it has to be, it's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
It's not you have someone as a submissive and they're there to do everything you say.
Is it popular? Because you see sometimes in the movies and stuff, you see the power person who they're a CEO of a company and they're kind of on all the time, and they're the ones who are in the leadership and the more authority figure.
Yeah.
Is it common for them to become submissive?
There's so many stereotypes.
Yeah.
There's so many stereotypes. You'll look at somebody who you could look at a woman in public and she looks very quiet and shy.
Yeah.
She could be the dominant in the relationship. You never know. Because it's very common. You'll have people, doms are not necessarily people who are always on 24/7 in positions of power and authority. Very often you'll hear CEOs, you'll hear stories in the news of CEOs who've been busted, who are very submissive in the bedroom because they just need that. And women as well, it's the same thing in positions, high authority positions, who they just need to be in a space where they can just let go and have someone else take over, make the decisions and have that responsibility. And it's amazingly freeing for a lot of people.
So how much, when it comes to kink and BDSM, we were talking earlier and I had asked Barry, and you pretty much knew the answer, but wanted to clarify it, that BDSM is part of kink, but kink isn't necessarily BDSM.
Right.
So it's just one aspect, and I'll have him back again another day to talk about other aspects of kink.
Yeah, it'd be interesting actually to talk about kink versus what is kink and what is fetish.
Yeah, there's various. I mean, I'm not
a whole other world.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's where all the black leather goes,
Oh, so that's why you have that.
Shortage of
okay.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing black ashless chaps right now.
Yeah, he does that sometimes.
Or I could be wearing pajamas, which would just be like really weird. Yeah,
because he just never does that.
No.
So is there anything else that you wanted to share with our viewers?
Well, viewers, it's like this. No, I would just say if you're looking to explore kink or just anything that you're a little bit beyond what you're into now, just do it responsibly, ease into it, make sure that you're both on the same page. I hate to see partners who one is really, really going into it and the other partner is doing it just to sort of go along and to please them. It rarely works out. Sometimes people do find that they do get into it more than they thought. But it's really important to be clear that you're both of the same mindset.
I know what I wanted to ask.
What?
How much is kind of the whole kink world? How much of it is about sex? And how much of it is
27%?
Not 28?
No.
Oh, okay.
How much of it is about sex? Well, it could be about as much or as little.
Yeah.
Really, I mean. So
sometimes it's totally about the sexual part, and a lot of the times it's about.
It may not be at all. I mean, there's, especially if you look at daddy little girl relationships, a lot of them there's no sex whatsoever. It's just strictly that sort of role. There's so many different things I can go on.
Yeah.
But it's not sexually based. Right. There's a sexual element to it, yes, but so much of it's psychology. And I don't think people realize how much psychology is involved in kink. Yeah. It really is. And it's fascinating. I mean, talk to people who are in there and who are involved. And it's just the stories you hear and the reasons for being involved are just incredible. But it's very, very psychologically diverse. But so there is a sexual element to it, but ultimately it's not really, sex isn't usually the reason why people get into it. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up tonight because I like to keep these not too long. So if you have any questions, guys, I know it's not something that you'd be more likely to publicly ask,
but please feel free to PM me. I'm always available to chat and discuss. And if I don't know something, I will ask my resident expert here.
Expert, I don't know about that, but okay.
He's certainly more knowledgeable than I am because of his
Because I'm just
friends.
more warped in a different way.
Different way. Uh-huh.
Equally
Yeah.
warped.
Well, we are, but that's, I mean, I wouldn't be making sex my main focus in business, right? If I wasn't just a little bit left of center.
Yeah, it's my main focus too
Uh-huh.
during the day, but I found out they don't go for it so much at the office. It's like HR has no sense of humor.
No, I know, right?
They just don't appreciate it at all. Like at all.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm going to be continuing with guests from time to time. And I'm talking to actually one of my coworkers at the health store. And he's going to come on and talk about something not nearly as exciting as this, but
then again, what is really?
Right? I mean, I kind of, we came out of the gate with, you know, the most interesting topic. Yeah. Anyway, thanks guys. Love you guys. Mwah! We'll see you next week. Bye.